here on the HN Network live every Tuesday with The Drive. The Drive is about moving you forward mindfully and consciously. How do we do that? With people, places, ideas, and organizations that bring their wow every Tuesday. We're so thankful to share this hour with you. We start the show with a mindful minute. And I wanted to reflect, because we had a couple weeks off, on how we're moving right into fall. And fall, you know, the days are getting a little shorter, and so we're wondering, you know, what we're going to do, what goals we're going to meet. I like to give these 2 tips. Don't buy the Halloween candy right now. Avoid those sugar highs and sugar lows. And maybe take some time to connect with friends and family and take a little trip to a local farm, collect some fresh vegetables, roast them, and take some time to be grateful. My friend James Mapes always says, if you're reflecting and you're bringing gratitude into your life, there's no room for fear. And without fear, we don't judge ourselves and we're a little more productive. And that leads me into a wonderful segment today about how important it is to find a job that you truly love. It's just an incalculable value. And you've met my friend Dr. Leonaura Rhodes, who is a UK-trained physician, neuroscientist, okay, author, facilitator, trainer, and now director of programming for a new project called
Project Job Search.
Project Job Search. Yeah. And I did so much research before you were to come on, and I'm thankful that you're joining us today again. For those of our viewers that may remember, Dr. Leonaura was on last year talking about a similar subject at Palmer's in Darien. So let's talk about this. People right now are shifting gears. Fall is the perfect time to think about my job, and we talked a little bit off stage about if you were looking for a job in August, you might be landing one now, and at the very least, you're coming back fully loaded, like, what am I going to do? So it's beyond just the paycheck, right? We know there's the old saying, if you love what you do, the money will follow. But what about people that are like, I'm so stressed out, I don't know what I'm going to do. Or I've just lost my job, maybe my self-esteem is rocked, I haven't had a job in a year, what's out there for me? What's in it for me?
So to start with the people who are in work, it's estimated that 2/3 of people who are in work are unhappy with the job they're in. That's a lot of people.
I've read it was 70%,
Yeah, it's pretty similar. So that's a lot of people who are kind of dissatisfied with their job, and that, of course, rolls out into every aspect of life because you're in work a lot of your life. So, so it's a huge, huge problem. And I've worked as a coach for many years with people either in job transition, people who are miserable in their job and just don't know what to do, and also a lot with mums who are kind of trying to decide whether now's the time to go back to work after a long career break. And I always begin by saying, let's engineer the situation so that at the end of the day, you end up with a job that you love, that makes you happy, that keeps you healthy, that makes you feel successful.
Makes
and
you motivated.
Yeah, absolutely. And also that makes you feel abundant in your life of the things that are important to you. So that's really important.
So I'll play a little devil's advocate here. We've got the political climate, which is really crazy. We've got all these things going on in our world, and people might say, Denise, you know, that's great, but I want to be abundant and fabulous, but I'm so stressed out, and I'm seeing the world from a gloom and doom. From a neuroscientist point of view, how do you facilitate that when you're meeting with someone so that they can be open to really finding what their true gifts might be or their passions so that they can move forward to actually fulfill what we're saying is possible?
Well, I work a lot with people on stress management. It's hugely important. And stress is very bad for your health and also for your performance in everything you do. And particularly in the job seeking process, I've worked with a lot of people who are very stressed in that process. And the trouble is when you walk into a job interview and you're very stressed, people can pick up on that.
Oh, for sure.
It's tangible. And so it's very important to acknowledge the stress and to learn to deal with it.
So that's what you tell your clients, acknowledge the stress and learn to deal with it.
From the perspective of finding a job that you love and one that makes you happy and all those things we talked about, I take people through a process of what I call a career audit, where they go back and look at their previous jobs.
That's smart.
Maybe 2 or 3 previous jobs, or maybe even going back to a job that they loved that may have been years ago, and picking it apart. And I have kind of this checklist that they go through. What did you like about that job? What did you hate about that job? What really didn't matter? And we're both fans of Tony Robbins, the kind of coaching guru. He says success leaves clues. If we go back and look at what made us happy in the past,
that's a good tip.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's likely if we find those things in our next job, it will make us happier and more content with our job. So I think that's a very important process to go through, and it mustn't be rushed. When you talk about mindfulness, it's a mindful process of going through that.
And that's the chicken and the egg, because if you don't have a job, you're extremely stressed, and it's almost like the hamster, I need it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So let's take it back even a few more steps, because the show is about being mindful. How do you get someone, especially like me, you know, I'm a million things going on, and I want it now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it happen now. How do you get somebody to really drop down and say, listen, it will happen better for you if you wait for the now? What's the technique there?
Well, I use stories to do that.
Okay.
Because I've worked with a lot of people who have been in a series of jobs that they've hated. You know, I worked with one lady who was it was about her 8th job, and she had got fired from her last job, and she didn't know why. She'd kind of sabotaged herself and got herself fired.
Pattern mystic.
And she was like, what am I doing? This is crazy. But when we went through that process of career audit, we found that it was more the businesses that she was working for than the job she was doing. She was going for big money, and so she was working in businesses that valued money over people.
Intriguing.
And she, you know, when we picked it apart, she decided it wasn't the job that she hated. She was thinking about retraining. And I said, hold on, let's figure out what's broken. And she ended up going back to do the same job, but for a charity. And she was really, really happy when she did that. The pay was less, but she had figured out that she valued the money slightly less than she valued other things, like being in a company that she thought was doing meaningful work, that kind of thing.
So let me ask you, with your training as a physician and as a neuroscientist, do you rely on your intuition, or is it purely scientific for you when you're working with a client? And second to that question is, do you teach your clients how to rely on their intuition?
That's a good question. I am really, really intuitive. And when I was a doctor, I relied on that a lot. And sometimes people would kind of question me and say, you know, for example, there's nothing wrong with this patient. And I'd say, I've got a feeling, please trust me. And I was always right. And so I learned to trust my intuition. It can sometimes lead you astray if you kind of mix up intuition and emotions. Sometimes, you know, our emotions can be leading us in the wrong direction. It's hard to teach that to somebody, I would say.
I was just going to say, how do you teach that?
It really is hard to teach it. I think it's something that you learn from experience, and some people are really not very good at trusting their intuition. They kind of, you know, they go with their head more than their heart. And I think there are some people who sense more than other people.
Absolutely. So now you're working to benefit clients to help them find the appropriate job and manage their stress.
Yes,
at the same time, or does one come before the other?
They go hand in hand.
Tandem.
Very definitely. I started working with Project Job Search because when I was working with my coaching clients and I was helping them decide what job to do, I didn't really have a solution to help them find a job. You know, I don't have an HR background, even though I'm kind of trained as a coach, and so I kind of felt that I needed some more tools for them and a process to take them through, because the job market has changed hugely in the last 10 years. The last time I applied for a job in England, it was on paper. I found the job in a newspaper. It was actually a medical journal, and I sent my resume off to a person, and I got a reply. It's not like that anymore.
What is it like now? Let's just give some technical information here, because I think a lot of people that watch the show don't realize how dramatically different it is.
Oh my word, yes. So today a lot of people kind of rely on what's called job boards to find jobs, Indeed, Monster, companies like that. And basically you can upload your resume and you put what kind of job you're interested in, and then they'll maybe send you daily emails when jobs come up.
They sound like keywords in your resume and their job descriptions.
And then, and so you might see a job that sounds perfect for you, and you send off your standard resume with maybe a cover letter, and you hear nothing.
Goes to the black hole.
Oh my goodness, like into the ether.
Yeah.
It's like, where's it gone?
It really helps your self-esteem. You're like, oh no, they don't want me now.
I know, and you're really excited that, this is the perfect job for me and my resume's great, and then you hear nothing, and it's really disheartening. And people are like, shall I call up and check, or will that be, perceived
How
as...
is that viewed?
Yeah, exactly. So it's very hard world for people to explore these days, and it's very frustrating. It's very lonely, and we work with an organisation in UK called CATS, Careers Advisory Transition Service, and the people there describe an intense loneliness in the job-seeking process. You feel like you're the only one, and it's very frustrating, and you have nobody to talk to. So it's really important to reach out to people in the same situation.
So let's break it down. People that are looking for jobs, maybe
Yes.
moms returning to work, people displaced.
Yeah.
Are we also talking about the perhaps mature crowd that's coming back in to the work environment?
Yeah, very much so. And I think,
Did I miss anybody? We've got our kids graduating.
Yeah, and I think the program is aimed at people with a bachelor's degree and up, that kind of level, up to C-suite, up to senior managers, because a lot of them are unhappy in their jobs and looking for work. So yeah. Anybody can benefit from the course because it takes you through. I love strategy. I love going step by step. Do this, then do this, and then do this, and also kind of reviewing the whole process. And I took the course. I revamped my resume and sent it off with a cover letter. And I'd been applying for writing jobs online, and I'd heard nothing. So I revamped my resume with the course's advice. And I got an email back within half an hour saying, wow, amazing resume. I couldn't believe it. It was just like...
Just makes me want to try it.
And I started working for this yesterday, this writing gig. It's freelance, but still. And so it gives you confidence. It gives you confidence that you're doing the right things in the right order.
So the website you're referring to has a course background.
Yes, absolutely.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And the people come on and take a course. We can talk about that in segment two.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah.
So, again, what are you seeing in the differences of the people that are in the workforce or not in the workforce looking to be in the workforce? Is there a common denominator? Are they, we've talked about stress. Are they accepting jobs that are beneath their salary requirements, which are perpetuating their discomfort? Or are they jumping careers? Like we're also hearing about people that are just completely switching careers.
Yeah.
Without rhyme or reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, there are those people who make a natural step into the next job or a promotion or that kind of thing, but there are an awful lot of people who are underemployed, who are just so desperate to get a job that they will take whatever comes along. And, I understand that people need to do that, but it's maybe not the best way to be approaching it, because ultimately, you have to be happy in your life, otherwise what's the point?
So the people that you're working with, what do they value the most? Obviously, we're going to say it's not the paycheck. It's some sort of comfort level. But what are they really valuing? Home time, freedom?
So I would use the word certainty.
Predictability.
Yeah. People want to know, in the job seeking process, people want to know that they're doing all the right things. They want to know, how long it's going to take and all of that kind of thing, it's hard to measure. And it's the uncertainty that really unsettles people in this process. And people in a job situation too, they like to know where they stand. They like to know what's expected of them. Nobody enjoys being in a situation where your boss is changing the goalposts all the time. That's really unsettling. So creating that uncertainty, and I think that's where the personal piece comes in, the people piece of this process. You can take online courses, but having that somebody that you can check in with and check that you're doing
critical.
Absolutely.
Critical nowadays. Okay, we're going to take a brief break right here, and we're going to come back, everyone, and we're going to talk about what it's like to jump into a process, a strategy that will help you find that job that's maybe part of your desires, that might just make you a little more productive. It's Denise DiGrigoli live here on the HN Network every Tuesday, moving you forward mindfully and consciously. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Thanks, Dr. Leah.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Now through September 30th.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with a Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
You're watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. More than 1.5 million viewers have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment broadcasting since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
If you want to find a job that you love, you absolutely need to use an expert. So Nick Mitrakis is here with us today, and he's got an incredible background with Fortune 100 companies, global, public, private, here in the United States and throughout Europe. He's been a hiring manager, a CFO, a COO for recruiting firms, and he is now the co-founder and partner at Project Job Search. Wow. That's like the insider track, right? If you need a job, go to an expert. But before we get into what Project Job Search will do for us, tell me a little bit about your background, because that's pretty much a stellar background. And if I was going to go out and look for a job, I'd want your advice for sure. But tell me what got you to that. Tell us about your background. And thank you for coming, by the way.
Thank you for having me. So over the years, when I was a hiring manager and a job seeker, because I think on average we are in transition about 6 to 8 times in our career.
True.
Whether we like it or not. I've experienced, what am I looking for as a hiring manager, and what am I looking for from the employer as a job seeker. When I was in transition, I had outplacement, which is a corporate paid in transition service. And I was very unhappy with what they were providing. But I learned what they were doing and what I felt they weren't doing. And so the frustrations that I had and the frustrations that my friends had and folks that I met at all these places, I decided to put together into something that was useful for people in my situation. And the feedback I got was great.
So that's fabulous, because you saw a need, and with your experience, you built something for others.
Right.
You couldn't be a more perfect guest for the drive, really, truly. So tell me what you see that people need, because in my experience with outplacement, it's very cookie cutter.
It is.
And you just, one size does not fit all. And then they try to shove you in those boxes and corners, and it makes everyone even more frustrated.
Yeah.
So what was your experience? I mean, am I outdated in my saying that? No.
No, you're right. So I experienced outplacement in two continents. And when I saw that, I realized this is not just me not doing the right things, it's just the way the service is delivered. First of all, outplacement, not everybody gets it. It costs the company a lot of money. You can't just go and sign up for it. The company pays for it on your behalf. In reality, what companies don't tell you is that it primarily serves not to help you find a job, it's to help them not get sued by you.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yes. And also, it keeps the existing employees' morale up. So, oh, this person got laid off, but look, the company's looking out for them. They got them outplacement. But this is not to say that outplacement is terrible in general. It's just that it became, like you said, cookie cutter. So the company pays for 3 to 6 months of outplacement. You have an office to go to, and you think they're going to help me find a job, and you realize very quickly that you're on your own.
It's self-serving.
They go, here's the material. There's no process that is understandable to a normal person because we haven't been taught to look for a job. We know marketing if we are marketing people, or finance or sales, but looking for a job is we're expected to figure out and know how to do it.
Yeah.
And we don't know.
So what is it that was your, other than yes, you brought yourself to a place where you wanted to develop something out of a need and you shared it with others, but how did Project Job Search come about?
So
I know it just didn't crop up overnight. As a serial entrepreneur myself, I mean, even Facebook wasn't an overnight success. So
Right.
how did it happen?
It happened with, when I was a job seeker myself, and it happened a couple, 3 times, and the resources that were available out there were always the same, whether it's in 2008 or in 2012 or 2014 or even now, the resources are the same. People
What are
go,
they? What is, so people can understand what these resources might be.
Right. Like Dr. Rhodes said, the first thing somebody does, they go on job boards.
Yeah.
And now LinkedIn has a job board as well. But the problem with job boards is that everybody uses them. So it's like playing the lottery. The average resumes position gets us over 1,000. So think about if you are the HR person who's going to hire for this position and you get 1,000 resumes, how many are you going to read really? Maybe 50? Maybe 100? And so if you have the perfect resume, but you are number 237, they'll never see your resume.
Right.
And so you're never going to get to apply for the job and get the job, even though you think you're perfect for it. They do have these keywords that they filter out the resumes, but so does everybody else.
You know, on a side note, I feel like when we're taught, and I'm going back a few years now, to load our resume with keywords, then we undermine our own self because we're not really authentic. We're not really using our authentic voice. We're just loading our resume with keywords in hopes that we'll be found.
Right.
But in the end, and I'm going back now 10 years on myself, I looked at my resume and say, really, I'm just a loaded SEO nightmare because this isn't even really the job I want.
Yeah.
Now, the job I want isn't the job I'm in now, so but I knew through that process of trying to find a job that I was miserable too. And it was through trial and error that I knew what I wanted to do, but it was through trial and error of listening to too many things. And I think that's important. When we listen to too many job boards and too many how-tos, it's like we're the deer in headlights.
Yes.
So what do you tell people? They're like, oh, I know, outplacement is a little crazy. Job boards are, one way. Newspaper ads are gone. So what do you tell people? Yes, we want them to go to Project Job Search, and we're getting there. But before we get them there, what do you tell them?
So, I mean, what people do in general, they go and Google maybe job search, and you're going to get, I think, 66 million hits. And the problem is that you don't know which advice is good, and it's not comprehensive. It's piecemeal.
Right.
So while they can pay for premium job seeker service on LinkedIn, it's going to cost them $30 a month. All you get is who viewed your resume, who viewed your profile, And if you apply to a job, they can see who your competition really is, but it still doesn't tell you how to look for a job properly. So what I tell people is they have to understand, first and foremost, it's a process. If you just got laid off, and I'm teaching, like Dr. Rhodes said, a course, a local course with folks who are in transition, and I was a person there who had just gotten laid off, and she was fired up and energized, but also angry.
Yeah.
Because she said she's worked for months to avoid that fate that then happened. And I told her, you're not ready to go for an interview right now because you're angry. When they ask you why you left your last job, all this frustration is going to come out.
Yeah.
So she has to be ready with answers to questions like, why did you leave your last job? What are you looking for? Tell me about yourself. And then once they have those things down and they had time to reflect and process whatever happened to them, then they're ready to go and apply for a position. And it's not just job boards. And job boards, we say, should be like 5% of your time.
Where's 20 to 30% of my time?
Recruiters.
Recruiters.
And the rest is all networking.
It's all networking. I hope everybody heard that. That's very important. We undermine our networking. We should have a whole show just on that.
And networking, by the way, Denise, is not going to some meetings and drinking cheap Chardonnay and feeling awkward.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not advisable.
It's a lot of things. It's connecting, reaching out to your friends in your network. Hey, how you doing? Let's have coffee sometime. And then not talking about, I'm out of a job, do you know of any jobs? That's going to shut down the conversation very fast. It should be connecting with people and first giving before asking for something. And in the conversation with your friend or acquaintance, it's going to become pretty obvious that you're looking for a job, but you're not asking for it, and they will look out for you.
I think that's a very important piece just to take a second on. When you're in a conversation, and we talk about being authentic a lot on this show, and you talk about giving first, right? What does that look like? Because sometimes when you're stressed out, and you really need that job because you can't pay your lights, and you're trying to be authentic, and you're like, well, so how are the kids? And you really, you really don't care how the kids are. You just want to, do you have a job for me?
Yeah.
What can you advise to people? Or better yet, we see moms all the time that are sheepish coming back into the work, and they need to come back for whatever their reasons are, and they've lacked that confidence, and so it becomes like sort of that victim conversation. And then the person that's on the other end is like, I can't refer you to one of my contacts. You are falling apart. So what do you tell people? Because I think that's important to be authentic. My husband always says, 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So what do you advise?
Well, 2 ears and 1 mouth, exactly. So you have to listen.
Yeah.
And rule number 1 is you don't not talk to people for years and all of a sudden, hi, how are you doing? Long time no see, let's get together. That's going to raise flags in their mind like, oh, what does she want? So
another good tip.
You should really try and take a little bit of time out of your day or the week at least to reach out to folks. Just an email, staying in touch, an article you saw that may be of interest to them, and just show genuine interest in their lives and ask about their family and their own lives. I mean, you would like if somebody just send you an email and say, hey, Denise, how you doing? And there's no intent behind it. You have a quick conversation, you move on. If you maintain that network, there's a book I've read a long time ago called Don't Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty, meaning that, when things happen and you lose your job, you shouldn't start then to network. You should have your network already built. And so by the time this happens to you, the network is warm, and so you can reach out and ask for advice. You can catch up with them. Advice is always advisable, not saying, I need a job. It's very obvious, but you're going to turn that person off. Imagine they come to you, you're not going to come prepared to a meeting with a list of 5 jobs that are perfect for your friend. At the same time, you want to have a conversation, not feel awkward. So it's important to maintain the contact, give them something that they find interesting, and with giving, I'm meaning doesn't have to be a present or anything, but giving your attention and giving your care and just genuinely being interested in their lives.
And resourceful.
People like that, yes.
And being resourceful to your friends, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you so wholeheartedly, and I'm a big proponent of handwritten thank you notes,
Yeah.
which are almost a dinosaur nowadays. And even I say to some of the salespeople that I coach, you know, some of my best sales when I was in a different career were often when I wrote a thank you note to the person that didn't give me the job. So the next time that the opportunity came back around, I was like, wow, she didn't have sour grapes, and she was the only one that ever did that.
Yeah.
And so making yourself a valuable friend and being an authentic friend, I think, is important.
Yeah.
So I love that point. So now we're telling people to network through their network and be authentic.
Yeah.
Job boards, not so much. Recruiters. Is that for all levels of people coming in? And do you shift them off to various recruiters? Because recruiters, to me, I think for my audience, is scary. Like, ooh, which one?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not asking you to endorse anyone today. I'm just asking you
Right.
to explain the tiers of recruiting.
Right. So there are two general categories of recruiters. There's the contingent recruiter and the retained recruiter.
Okay.
Contingent, as a general rule of thumb, I would say, is for folks who are on a compensation package below $200,000, and anything above that goes to retained. So there are, of course, exceptions. But contingent, the way they work is they don't have exclusivity. So if you're the employer and you're looking for a marketing manager, for example, and you select one firm, and you're only going to employ that firm, and they're going to get paid for you to find this person, then you're retained. So nobody else has the search, and nobody else can get paid if they send you qualified candidates. Contingent means that if I send you a resume and you hire this person, I get paid. And so the majority of recruiters out there that we know that have a bad reputation as well is contingent. So one thing I want to say as well, on the job boards, some of the frustrations are that the positions on job boards sometimes are phantom jobs, they're called, which means recruiters post these jobs
Just to get the resumes.
Candidate resumes. And then they take those resumes, the ones they like, and they send them to positions that an employer advertised. And if they bite and pick one, they go, well, you got this person through me and you owe me whatever the percentage is of the compensation. So that's where the reputation comes from. So in general, you should research the multiple avenues you can find recruiters for your specific geography, for your specific field, and for your title and level. And they will be much more likely to talk to you. And there's a process you have to follow to make sure that you're respectful and they actually call you back.
This is so fascinating. I mean, I think that we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to use a service like Project Job Search and what it can mean to whomever is watching. But I also want to come back and talk about how to find the job that you love, because we can use a fabulous tool, but we still want to get the fabulous job.
Right.
Okay, everyone, this is an hour that's just rushing by. So come right back in 2 minutes and learn about how connecting with the job you love will serve you in so many ways. It's The Drive every Tuesday with Denise, moving you forward mindfully and consciously with people, places, ideas, and organizations. If you'd like to be a guest, please tweet us here at HAN Network CT. Thanks so much.
As you're getting back to your regular schedules, we're excited to get back to doing what we do best, offering you the freshest seasonal fare and all the ingredients for a healthy start to school. So shop Walter Stewart's for everything fresh, from A, apples to Z, zucchini, and from cotton candy grapes to back to nature all-natural snack bags. We save you time by stocking all of your favorite back-to-school essentials under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
I'm a filthy rich executive. I hear the market's down 1,000,000 points. I freak out. I spill my large espresso. The searing pain makes me slam on the brakes. Uh-oh, your fault. And your cut rate insurance may not cover my $90,000 car, so I sue you, because that's what I do. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Mayhem is everywhere, so get an Allstate agent. Are you in good hands?
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
At Elements Massage Ridgefield, we believe in quality services that are affordable and focused on therapy and healing. The licensed massage therapists are available 7 days a week, offering deep tissue and Swedish massage, as well as prenatal and couples massage. Special introductory rates are available now, or try our Elements trademarked wellness program. For more information, contact Elements Massage Ridgefield at 203-403-3348 or visit elementsmassage.com/Ridgefield.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
So is it true if you do what you love, the money will follow? Or is it that important? I guess what we're talking about today is finding the value of a job that you love and how it can make your whole life productive. But there's some logistical things you have to do to access that inner voice. No better two friends than Dr. Leonaura Rhodes and Nick Mitrakis, thank you, that are here from Project Job Search to tell us, well, we've been learning so much. I'm hoping you're going to rerun this a little bit later. So tell me, we're looking for a job, or we don't even know. Maybe we're in a job, we're happy with the financial piece, but deep in the back of our mind, we know it's just not what we want, which has been my case in the past. So, and some of my friends, some of my contemporaries that actually tune in every week. So, where do we give permission to ourselves to say, you know what, I'm going to venture out? That can be stress-provoking. We talked about that. Because now we need to get permission from our stakeholders. Who are those? Our family members, what we're leaving behind. What do you guys say? What can we do? What can we do for those people? Because there's people like that I just described out there. I better just stay in this job. It's safe.
Yeah. I mean, life's full of compromises. You know, we make them every day, but, you know, in a job, people are often making big compromises. You know, it's whether it's time or money or work-life balance or the location of a job. You know, there's a lot
2 hours on the train, 2 hours home, not seeing your kids.
I was talking to somebody the other day who was traveling for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week.
I'd be mad.
Oh my goodness, I just couldn't do that.
No.
So, you know, I think if you're very unhappy in your job, like I mentioned earlier, you need to engage in a conscious process of thinking, okay, what is it about my job that is making me unhappy? Some of the people that I have worked with in coaching, I've actually helped them change their mindset because they have to stay in that job. You know,
so there's the counterpart to that.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, sometimes people are making themselves miserable. Sometimes they kind of, you know, if that job is the best that they can get at the time and the job market's not good, sometimes it's about learning to become more content with your situation, because that's what happiness is, really. It's about contentment with your current situation. So
marvelous tip.
Yeah, you know, there are people who will always be unhappy in whatever situation they're in, and it's not good for you to be like that.
Well, that's kind of how we started the show, right? See the value, see the gratitude, and what's going on in this present situation.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Project Job Search. Let's say I'm ready to move or I need to move. What am I doing at Project Job Search? How is it going to serve me?
Just to reach back for a second from what Dr. Rhodes said, unhappiness in the job. Unfortunately, what happens more often than not is you're in college, you have a great time, you pick your major if you know what your major should be, and then recruiters come on campus and you take the job and you put your head down, you work, and next thing you know, you have a mortgage, you have kids, you have obligations, 10, 15 years have passed, and you don't really like the job you're in. but now it's too late to radically switch. A lot of people find themselves in that, and I don't know if it's true or not, where the midlife crisis be a chemical reaction, but I believe there's a combination of that and the chemical piece that makes somebody unhappy. But finding the right job, I mean, the environment you have in, the certainty that you need to have, and like Dr. Rhodes said, if you're in a job you're unhappy, you know, try and find a job that will make you happy from that position. You are in a position of strength if you're employed. If you're unemployed, you do not have the position of strength. There's a stigma attached to unemployment, unfortunately, but you will have a paycheck and you will have less time to look for a job, but you have more time to look for a job because money is coming in, but you can't spend all day looking for a job.
Excellent advice.
And you know, try and just, I would say bite your tongue, but you know, focus on what it is you want and put it down on paper. We say in our courses that you have to define what it is you want, and Dr. Rhodes can help with that. But if somebody doesn't know what they want, we can't help them get there. And that applies to anything in life. People can't help you if you don't know what it is you want.
I think her tip, though, in the very beginning where she said, look back at those successes, those are like little bird crumbs on the path,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So at the very least, if we can dig there, then we might have a starting point with someone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And if they put down on a list, create a list to say, okay, I like this type of company. Like I figured out that I prefer a certain size company, a certain culture, a certain relationship with my boss, a certain type of service the company provides. You know, otherwise I'm questioning what am I really contributing to the world.
Right.
Put those things down and then try and figure out, okay, what companies in my area or my region provide these services, and then use your network to start figuring out, okay, how can I get myself worked into those companies? And even if you go for a job board and they have a position advertised, there are many more ways than just sending your resume into the job board, for which you're probably not going to hear anything back. But you can increase your chances of success significantly by following different processes and have a different approach.
So are those processes on Project Job Search that
Yes,
you're
they are.
referring to?
Yeah.
And just to dig a little bit deeper into that, is this a year-long course? Is it a one-month course? Give me some of the finites there.
Go ahead.
Well, the course is currently online, and we are developing courses for specific businesses at the moment as well. We've got businesses that are in a situation where they have employees that they're about to lay off, and they're going to be using the course as part of the process instead of outplacement, like Nick was talking about earlier. And I would say, to do the course justice would probably maybe be a 2-week process, because, for example,
So you get some answers fairly quickly.
yeah, there's a section on, you know, on revamping your resume. There's a section on getting your LinkedIn profile really, really strong, and that's a really good place to kind of bring in people who are in a job and who've been in a job for a long time. You know, get complacent about their career development. It's hugely, hugely important to keep up to date on LinkedIn and places like that, to keep on making connections, and this is taught in the course, to have your LinkedIn profile really, really strong, because you don't know when that's going to happen, when that day is going to happen, when, you know, your business goes bust. I mean, take, for example, Sports Authority. It seemed like, you know, a huge, safe business, and all of a sudden it's going out of business.
Oh, so many are like that right now.
I know.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to be on top of things and to have your resume up to date all the time, and be keeping track of those courses you've been on, of all the skills that you've learned, all the little tasks that you've done in your job, and keep that up to date all the time, all the way through your career. So.
Is it strictly online, or is there some human interactivity there that we kind of talked about before with Project Job Search?
Well, there's 3 levels in the program. One is just the online program, where people can take the course and study at their own pace. I've worked in coaching, as you know, Denise, for a long time, and the problem with that, it's a bit like self-help books, is that for a lot of people, there isn't just the motivation to actually get on and do it. And, and without a real person there to kind of hold your hand through the process, it's very easy to buy courses and then never do them, or buy books and never read them, or never take action on them. And
I know that wholeheartedly, for sure, absolutely.
I've got a room full of books that, some of them I've read. But
well, I think it's the best intention, right?
Yeah,
you get
sure.
sucked in at the moment, and then life takes over. And we talk about that all the time in developing a habit or connecting something to a routine so that it becomes, ingrained in your process. But even that, the best laid plans are broken.
Absolutely.
I personally love the human connectivity. I think it's very important.
Some people are self-starters and they can just kind of take the course and run with it, revamp their resume, get their LinkedIn profile looking really good, find the hidden jobs. It is possible to do it that way, but you've got to be a special kind of person to do that. So then the next level involves some help with virtual assistants and some coaching. And then there's a third level, which is kind of a higher level with more hand-holding and more interaction from our team of coaches who will actually help people through the process. Look at your resume and kind of say, I know what you're getting at, but maybe you want to word it slightly differently.
So how many people own this business? I want to talk about, because we tend to venture down the road of entrepreneurs on the drive. I don't know if that's just because of the guests that I curate or what, but tell me what it takes to start a business like this. I know, again, it didn't just crop up overnight. So tell me about how old it is and how you've developed it and some of the trials and tribulations.
So the idea was hatched about 1.5 years ago. And then for about 6 months, we tried different avenues and different ways.
You tested it?
We tested it. And I can tell you about the biggest challenge that we have experienced in being an entrepreneur and making something, seeing something through, is there are these many roadblocks, distractions. Some people say, oh, why are you doing this? It's never going to work.
The naysayers.
And the naysayers. So you have to ignore the naysayers. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to keep plugging forward, moving forward.
So true.
There are many things that happened over the last 1.5 years that could have potentially derailed this. But I think fate wanted us to finish this, and now that it's finished, it really has taken off. And anybody we speak to about this, be it a company, be it a university, professional organization, individuals and groups, really think this is really important, because the way we designed it is to be pragmatic and practical, a step-by-step approach. Take this course, download the worksheet, fill it out, now you can move to the next step. Same thing there, third step, fourth step, fifth step.
So it's easy and accountable.
Easy and accountable.
Easy
and if they need extra help, there are people there to help.
Fascinating. So tell me some of the victories. Tell me some of the success stories.
So a large New York university has adopted this for all their alumni.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
And they
Can we say the name? Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know if, sometimes clients want you to say the name.
They're rolling it out this month. It's Fordham University.
Wow. Congratulations.
And
what a
they
fabulous
like it.
success.
They want to also roll it out to their students as well. Then we have we're in discussions with a large national professional organization to do a joint venture with them to roll it out to their 10,000 members. And we are in discussion with several corporations to customize something for them, because they're going through restructuring and they will be laying off employees, and they like our approach more so than traditional outplacement firms.
So moving forward, let's connect back into the naysayer mentality, because that also connects into the stress of when you're looking for a job. Oh, why would you want to get that job? Why would you want to do that? That's not enough. Why don't you just stay where you are? Oh, it's too bad you got laid off. So naysayers, let's just talk a bit about that. What can we do to shift that mentality, not only when we're building our own businesses, because it happens, to when we're shopping for a job, and we're trying to think that we're doing all the right things, and those sort of gremlins creep in, the monkey mind?
I mean, I think it's about being clear about what's important to you in your life, and being, like we talked about earlier, authentic about that. And sometimes people need to explore that with another person to get really clear on what's important to them. People kind of drift through life just accepting what comes their way. And sometimes, you have to take some time and be mindful and conscious, like you talk about, of what's my life all about? What's the purpose of my life? Why do I get up in the morning? What's it all for? And, on my deathbed, what will I regret not having done?
Right.
And, to live consciously and be a person who, has a mission and a purpose in life is hugely important, and not many people do it. And it's a real gift when you do.
So I'm thankful that you both joined us today. And friends, if you'd like to learn more about Project Job Search, please give us the website, projectjobsearch.com.
Project-jobsearch.com.
There it is. Thank you. and make sure you tell them that you learned about it here on The Drive. So in closing, I want to thank both of you for coming. And what I want to say to everyone else is remember that there's one steering wheel in each car for a reason, right? You're steering, you're moving it forward, and you have to be in touch with yourself in order to move forward. Join us next week, Tuesday, here on The Drive. We look forward to seeing you. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be a guest, please give us a tweet at handnetworkct or visit me at DeniseDiGrigoli.com. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.